Welcome everybody to today's reading. Today's reading is just going to be like a general sort of collective reading for whoever is drawn into this video. Trust that the time that it finds you is the time that you need to hear it. And we're just going to get started and see what we have come up today. I'm hoping everybody's doing well. I did start to get a little bit of stuff before kind of starting the video today. And I think it's a very specific message. So it's probably actually not for everybody as part of like the general collective, but someone kind of tapping in through that collective. And it was about like a depletion in melanin that kind of, I guess the effect is there becomes like a depletion in the pigmentation of the skin. And that's something that you can have a look into. I think there can be a few different reasons for like why that happens. I'm not a doctor. I'm not like medically trained or qualified in any sort of like health. I don't have any accreditation or anything like that, but it might be something that I don't really know how helpful it would be and what's the best route to take. So as long as you're seeking like the appropriate medical advice for, that's GP or naturopath. But as far as I understand, when I did have a quick look into it, it can kind of be, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be very faint. It can be a small amount. But it can be something to do with like an autoimmune response. As from like the 2-second Google I did, so like I said, don't take my word for it, go see a professional, but it can have to do with like copper or vitamin B deficiency. So that might be something worthwhile looking into. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, so we actually have the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Wands. And I'm kind of getting these two to come up together. It's like the hard truth of a situation. About the fiery nature of things. It's like there's got to be more here to it than that. Let's take a moment and see what we can get. Yeah, it's just like a hard truth to like the kind of competitive nature of people and how they can become quite cutting in turn, because that can be kind of cold, detached, and brash. Okay. So it looks like some of you all here have had a new beginning and you've actually done really well in terms of like your emotional development. I think you guys, I don't see it in the cards, but I kind of get the feeling that this group had to kind of try to fill their cup off of almost nothing. Like maybe you were kind of depleted in that sense as well. So for some of you might not have that, specific like pigmentation depletion I was talking about, but depletion in itself seems to be like a bit of a theme here. So it's like you had this new beginning and you've been able to kind of catch yourself up to like where, I don't know, I don't even, the thing is that's weird, I don't even feel like you guys are as evolved as you potentially, I don't know, that you have the potential to be. I feel like you guys are getting back to like a baseline, but it just makes me think that this group is like incredibly evolved if that's your baseline, is to be coming off in like a King of Cups nature. So I would say this group, you're probably incredibly intuitive, evolved. You're just, I don't know, I feel like there's something about you that is able to kind of tap into the ebb and flows of life, and you just kind of understand things from like a transcended point of view. I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but the other side of it is that you could just be like considered like really safe and nurturing people or compassionate people or something like that. And yeah, it's like there's something about that people just don't like. And I wonder, I do get a little bit of an energy of like a mirroring here. And it's kind of bizarre because I look at the cards and you guys, you and whoever this person is, or these people, or that situation, whatever it is, for some of you, it could just be like a cultural, societal type thing. But you and whoever this is, I look at the cards and there's no direct mirroring at all. Like when I look at it, it seems blatantly obvious to me that you guys are nothing alike. But the energy of it, there's something here about a mirroring that's happening. So what I would say is that maybe you guys are not mirroring in the sense of both coming off in a similar energy, but almost the opposite in terms of maybe you are mirroring something that this person didn't get, or has some type of wound around within themselves. Like it's kind of like that whole shining the light on the things that we didn't know we had a wound around, or something like that. So that might make a little bit more sense for some of you, because it would be really hard to kind of understand, you know, where that comes from and why people want to kind of come for you in that way. And I feel like for a lot of you, some of these people might kind of get the feeling, and not get the feeling, they might almost try to say that you are like on a high horse of some kind. Like I'm hearing like proverbial high horse. I don't really know what the word proverbial means, so we might have to look that up. But maybe it's like a self-proclaimed high horse or something like that. It's like you see yourself from a higher point of view or something, and because of that, people are like, you've just self-appointed, you know, you've put yourself in that position of being this like self-proclaimed person on a pedestal, and you're like oh so knowing, and you're oh so this and oh so that and blah blah blah. They're kind of overhearing about it, and the thing is, I don't even think you guys are going around talking about it. I actually think that maybe other people are, or it has nothing to do with anything anyone is saying. They just see you and they kind of, something about it, it's like that whole inner projection thing where it's like they think that because of the way they operate within the world, that they kind of try to project and portray certain images and whatnot. They think that you are doing the same, but it actually comes from a place of like deep authenticity in the uncovering of who you are, and like the reclaiming of your soul and your sovereignty and everything. Maybe not so much sovereignty for some of the people in this group. There are, you know, some people here that may not really connect to that part of the message, but the rest of it definitely. And so it gives me the energy of, this person thinks that you think you're like oh so special, and you've actually got nothing to really show for it. Like, I don't know, I think they're going to turn to different areas of life, different arenas of life, and they're going to go, well, you don't really have that much money, or you know, you didn't go out and earn this yourself, or you don't even have like a good job, or you don't have a degree, like you weren't well studied, or you actually don't do anything for the community. You're not you know, it's like they're kind of looking at they're looking at like that typical kind of Western marker of like what a successful person looks like in our culture. And then they're trying to kind of cut you down because you don't have it. And I don't know, it's like, it gives me that thing, it gives me, you know, so it's okay for people to just want to live a life where like they maintain their peace and stability in life, and there's nothing wrong with that, and being comfortable. And sometimes that can kind of be, you know, a more evolved life, because you're not working yourself like to the bone, where you spend all that money later on like, you know, medical fees or stress relief, and it's like just kind of imbalanced in the world that you live, or maybe what you do is not meaningful, and then it kind of like lacks that flow-on effect of like authenticity and compassion. And like there could have been a person that could have been in that job that really had that, and had that knack for it, and had that drive and that hope and that passion and purpose, that would have really connected with it, and kind of had that flow-on effect to really have the ability to help the people around them. And I feel like the thing is that you do have that, but you have it in a way or an area that this person does not understand, and they don't see the value of it. They don't see the meaningfulness of it. They don't see the use of it. It like gives me a lot of, I don't even know. The thing is that you actually could have like a job where you are in some sort of like healing arena, or like you could be a counselor or a social worker. I don't know. It doesn't matter what it looks like. But like, so you actually could have a good job and some sort of qualification or accreditation behind you, and this person is just looking for a way to like reduce or minimize the skills that you do have, or how helpful they are, or how good you are at it, or something. I don't know. It's like they just see you in all your beauty and your grace, and this evolved person that you are, that they perceive you to be. I wonder how much some of these people just put you in a pedestal and it's not even like your own self-proclaimed proclivity. I don't even know what half these words, like, I don't know what proclivity means. I'm just gonna have to do a whole heap of like googling after this. It's like, it's just embarrassing, shelling words that I don't know what they mean. Surely I've heard them somewhere and they've just, we're along for the ride. Anyway, maybe this is the type of words that this person uses. Maybe this person is kind of semi-studied in something and they like want to cut down what you do with logic because they don't understand it, and that would make a lot of sense too. So even if it has nothing to do with the rest of the stuff, this person could just be like quite a logical person, like a realist, like I don't know, it's weird because I feel like I'm a person that naturally comes by like having pragmatic nature at times. But I also have that duality of that like deep spiritual connection and awakening and embodiment and just crazy profound experiences that I can't logicalize it, because you would just break your brain if you had to. And so it's kind of like there are people that I don't know how to explain it, if they had that little slight bit more deeper connection to themselves or the universe in some way, could like totally be open to it and understand it and have those similar experiences, may not actually come for you because they would get it. I just feel like this person doesn't get it. So it doesn't matter where they, like, what their deal is and what your deal is. It's like they're trying to cut you down for something that they don't understand and that they can't explain. And some of them, they just, I don't know, they're just going to cut you down because they can. I feel like, actually, I don't know if that's totally correct. It's like, it's that mirroring thing, but it's not the coming across the same. It's that kind of showing up in the world as the thing that shines a light on what they did or didn't receive or has some sort of wound around. I would say it's probably the things that they don't understand, they don't connect with, and they didn't have in their life, or maybe they wish they were kind of like that and they just, I don't know. Some of these people though, I feel like they're kind of intellectual intelligence, like this kind, some of them are smart, not all of them, like some of them are, I'm not, I feel like humans as a whole generally have a pretty intelligent, like we all have the potential to have great intelligence if we're kind of going to lean into it, harness it and apply it and be mindful and whatnot. But I feel like when people come across not intelligent, it's usually like a lack of education or something like that, unless there's like some actual kind of like neurological thing going on there. And when I say this, like I'm totally there for just because you may not operate neurotypically doesn't mean there's a lack of intelligence. If anything, you can kind of like really have the ability to tap in and focus on things to kind of like get, just kind of build in the intelligence in that arena. Now we've got that out of the way. I just felt, it's weird, sometimes I don't feel like I'm here trying to manage people's emotions, but there might be people here that are not understanding what I'm saying. So we've, Spirit wants to make sure that we've covered the bases with everyone that's sort of come through as a viewer in this collective. Anyway, so back on track. So for some of you, this person is probably incredibly intelligent and they just don't have that education or that understanding. They can't fathom it. They can't comprehend it. And it's like, I don't know if it threatens a worldview. For some, sometimes there are people that they've kind of endured things in life that they may not have had to because of the system, like what the system inflicts upon us. And the system could just be a family unit. It could be the society. It could be like a belief structure. It doesn't really matter. Culture, way of doing things, how people are treated, how people, that like societal thing of like a general dating environment or something like that, whatever it is. I feel like they're operating from this very like realistic, straight down the line, factual, skeptical, logical point. And I'm not here to knock that. It is like so foundational and has huge value in most parts of life, but it's like they're not balanced with it. It's like that's all they have, or there's not enough of something else. Like maybe it serves them really well in this life to build up in that skill, or that's where their natural intelligence sort of lies, and then they've just kind of like lent so much into it that other parts of their intelligence seem to be like irrelevant to them in some way. Like there's no real peak of interest there or understanding. So it's kind of like, well, that doesn't make sense. And I kind of get the feeling for some of these people that they might feel like you're talking pish and they want to call like BS on it, and say, like, some of them, it's like they think that what you're saying has no truth to it. It is not correct. It is not applicable. It is not valid. And I don't even think when I'm like saying the things that you're saying, you might not be saying anything. It might be what you stand for. It might be the beliefs that you have or the way that you operate in the world, and it just doesn't make sense to them. And because it doesn't make sense to them and they don't understand it, it's like they think that you're lying, or they think that you're making it up, or they think that you're telling people like a smooth story to kind of like smooth things out, or play mediator, or like some sort of like political card or something like that. I don't really know. Just like I kind of get the energy of like where like all like blah blah blah, like they just, this person, it wouldn't surprise me if they go around talking to a lot of people about you, or if it's not specifically you, because this person would be quite, you know, smart the way that they do things. I think they're kind of so, it's weird because it's like they're kind of socially intelligent, as in they're good at like navigating social scenarios, even if they lack like that emotional intelligence that you seem to kind of possess, or that like spiritual embodiment and whatnot. And it's kind of like they would go to a group of people and they might not actually put you down directly. They might leave you out of it altogether, but they would kind of be hinting towards like certain practices, BS and don't make sense, and people that do them are probably just like kind of deluded in their own, like, I don't know, their own belief systems and their own hurt and wounding. I don't know, it's like a lot of, they're just logically grasping at straws because they don't understand it, or they feel threatened by it, or it's like they're so confronted by the truth of their own situation and everything that they've built off it and how they've lived their lives, and that it could potentially be the foundation of a lot of fallout or unfortunate circumstances, that it does almost have a potentially threatening nature. And I don't think this person is typically, I don't know, take it as you will, you know your person better. I'm getting goosebumps now. But you know them better than anyone, right? And so some of them could naturally have to work a lot to appease their ego, whereas others, I do feel like there is like a good chunk of them here that they're not particularly egotistical natured people, because they're kind of so logical that they can remain neutral and say, well, you know, just because I got a C on the test does not mean that the test is incorrect necessarily, but rather the logical answer is that the test is the test, and that suggests that I logically did not perform to the test, you know, level of, I don't know, suggested intelligence, or I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but hopefully you get the point. Anyway, so like for the most part, they're probably that, or there's also like a second group here. So some of them are actually quite, I don't even know if I'd say they're humble. I don't really feel that. They're just neutral. But there is a second group here where there very much is like a lot of ego, and they actually like are almost performatively trying to come off logical, and they try to sell things to people in a logical manner, because it's like once something is logically proven, it's kind of very hard to fault, if that makes sense. Like if it is, if the door is closed, you cannot walk through the door. Logically, science, I don't know, like you can't, it's just not possible, right? So it's kind of like they're using some sort of logical intelligence to try to shut something down. I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one. I'm not really sure what it just seems like they're putting a phenomenal amount of energy and effort into this. And so it makes me think it really strikes a chord within them, because I don't understand why else they would actually want to really kind of come after you or this situation here, whatever this is. Some of them, it might just, I kind of get that like spiritual hater vibe a little bit. So just the very fact that you kind of show up as that spiritual person will kind of be the thing that they want to tear down, even if it's not about you. But also remembering that a lot of these sort of situations that play out in life are very rarely ever about us personally. It's actually like more of a reflection of that person's own inner world and their wounding and their beliefs, and it's kind of that projection out onto the world and the people around us and how it all comes together and we operate that will lend to anything more. And they just, I don't think they even understand that, which is kind of funny considering they are so logical. You would think that they do. Like they're sort of logic. This is what makes me think that there are holes in it, because it's like they are really logical until it's inconvenient for them to be so logical. And I think they would surprise you because they kind of have a lot of their bases covered. But I think they're a little bit too quick. They maybe like don't have all the information, or they're not totally prepared. Like they're very well thought out, but they're not as well thought out as they would like tell you what they would claim that they are, or what they think they are, or there's something about how they present and the level of preparedness or information that they have that is not, it's not equal. It's not necessarily in alignment. So, okay. For some of you, I do feel like this person feels like you would take something away from them. And I feel like that comes back to that, like they could almost feel confronted by your energy. And so I wonder if like what they feel like you would take away from them is like some sort of belief system. But anyway. Yeah, and so it's actually funny because I I shuffle, I pull the cards on camera. I generally go through them one by one. It's not very often I pull all the cards out and look at them all in a row and kind of put something together as a whole. I like just kind of work through one by one and reading the energy and tapping into it, and then we will slowly build on the whole situation as we go. So I understand that can be frustrating for some people when they're kind of like trying to get to the point of something, but I feel like the reason why Spirit does that is to make sure that we're not missing key points or key details, okay? Anyway, and so it's funny because I hadn't even considered any of these cards here that I had like kind of laid out enough that I could see them, but I've been so focused on like reading the energy of the cards that we've already got out and building on that, and being able to communicate that and convey the message so that it is, yeah. Okay, so we have the Tower, and I feel like that's what it is. It's like you present a tower moment to this person, like a crumbling of foundations or a shattering of beliefs or something like that. I don't know. Is it like about a community, or is it about themselves, or that like how they were brought up in the world? I don't know. And it is through that, like being that high priestess and like having this esoteric knowledge that it's like they just don't understand where it comes from in you, and they don't understand how you get it and how you believe in it and how you like kind of feel like that, what was those words that they used before? It was like that self-proclaimed kind of heightened position where they feel like you've put yourself on this pedestal without any real accreditation or reasoning here. And so it's like because they don't understand it and where it comes from and all of the things, then it's like, yeah, I think that's what it is, right? It's like the screw very much might come off as like some sort of like spiritual healer, I don't know. Yeah, something there. You might not even really like be known to be a spiritual person or be a person that does any type of like healing profession, but you actually could just, this group, you would kind of strike me as the group that like, you might not share all of your intuitive hits and nudges and whatnot, but some of you could have like a really good claircognizance or something like that. And it's like things that you know and you say them and they don't understand how you know, but then what you say kind of challenges their narrative and they're very happy to kind of shut it down pretty quickly. And like, and I feel like for some of them, this would be like the group of people, not my collective right now, but who it is, unless, I don't know, some of you could be showing up on the other side and we're kind of picking this apart with you. But this sort of Knight of Swords person who wants to cut you down, they appear to me as the group of people who would say, like, let's pretend we're in school and we're doing like a maths equation or formula. And it was like the way that I was taught maths in school was that you had to show your workings of how you worked out the answer. Because if you could not demonstrate your formula and how you worked out the answer, even if your answer was actually correct, you were then not correct. And so it was like an extra step that you kind of had to take to kind of prove that you came about the answer in an honest way. And I think it was kind of, you know, I understand it may be to kind of like put people off cheating, like to stop incentivizing cheating, or something, like, what's the word, deter people from cheating, like trying to copy answers off other people. Because if you could actively demonstrate how you worked out the answer and came to that answer, then you could actively demonstrate that you actually came from an honest place and that you did have that skill or knowledge that you were able to apply in an effective way with accurate results. And so I feel like this is the person who is sort of looking at your work and they're saying, but like, where is your mathematical workings? Where are your equations? Where are your formulas? How do you come about this information? And so this person might try to say that you kind of like take from a general set of information, things that are kind of general knowledge, or they could be just a person who like acquires little bits of information that generally apply through most things in life from listening to the one or two wise things that people have said along the way or something like that. I don't really know. But if anything, to be fair, I feel like this person probably does that more than anyone, and that's kind of that projection coming out again. Okay, whew, that aside, what else have we got? Yeah, all right. So it's like the shattering the belief systems. They don't understand how you come about. I think for some of these people, there could be like a hidden quality here too, or something that's unseen or that they don't understand. It's probably kind of like a mystified element, right? This group, it wouldn't surprise me if we have Scorpio here. So I just want to quickly touch on the zodiacs that we have kind of out on the table so far. Basically, if it's like not on the screen, or if it's in, I've got like a pile of cards here to the right hand side, if you can see it, that I haven't looked into yet, but I can see like the strengths and the judgment card kind of popping out from underneath. So we do have Pluto, we have Leo, we have Pisces, Cancer, and we have Mars. You know, I feel like there's probably elements of other stuff here, but I kind of almost get that Scorpionic energy. And, you know, with Pluto and Mars is like the Vedic ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto is like the Western astrology ruler for Scorpio. And Scorpios can have that tendency to kind of come off like concealing information or being a little bit mysterious or something like that. I'm not really, like, there's a cloaking, I don't know how to explain it, because I don't feel like Scorpios intentionally cloak their energy, although I'm sure there are lots out there that do. You don't have to have Scorpio energy in your chart. It's just like the energy that you may embody or represent to this person, something to do with how they see you, okay? And so what I would say is that for some of you, you may come off not as like a typical how Western astrology is conveyed for Scorpio, to just be all about control and domination and those sorts of like weird things that are kind of under the radar. Like, I'm not denying that they can't be a part of people's stories, but you may have experienced a sufficient amount of like tower moments in your life that, whether it's left you like a little bit traumatized or a little bit wiser, it's like you can see the gray areas in life. It's like you can see the nuance of things in life. And so it kind of brings about this evolution that you have or that you embody that other people, it is not so obvious to the eye. So for example, you can have like you know, there are certain types of mental health, like a PTSD would be like a really good correlating example here, where that's not so obvious to people if they don't understand it, or it's not like kind of how it's portrayed in the movies. And if you're around a person that might have something like that, and you're unfamiliar with it, it could be misconstrued or misunderstood for like other things, okay? And I feel like that happens regardless of mental health, all that put aside, even just with people's different personality traits. So it seems like maybe you have potentially lived through a lot of tower moments in life. It doesn't matter whether you've come out kind of fully traumatized or not. It's not really like a qualifying matter here, but there's like a type of wisdom or knowing that you have. And spirit may be attached to this, may not be. That's kind of, you will know about that. Like more than anybody else, but it's like the fruits of wisdom, or like some of you it is like an esoteric knowledge or gift, and for others of you it is just like the hidden wisdom. Something else I've missed. No, that's it. Okay, cool. There's like something here that you know, or that you are good at, or that you do, or that you embody or believe or represent or show up in the world, however it is that you kind of how you come off to people, how they see you, that they don't understand. And it's because they haven't lived your life and they haven't had those, tower moments or the same types of experiences. And it doesn't mean that they haven't had any. Like, if you're human, you probably don't really get out of having those, tower moments in general. But like, I don't know, maybe they've been different types, or maybe the way that yours affected you in ways that were a little bit debilitating, or you didn't have support for, just like weird little things like that you can't really understand. And so for some of you, you could have, what do we have here? We got like Mars. Look at the water. I know it does kind of make me think a little bit of 4th house and 8th house coming together. So kind of like family roots and like, I think the 8th house can be like death, sex, marriages, taxes, that sorts of thing. It can maybe have trauma pop up a little bit through that as well. So I don't know. I don't really want to go into that. It's not what today's reading is about anyway. So, but that might just like give you a little extra point of confirmation on those topics. Moving on. So let's take a moment to just like see what else. All right, so I feel like we've got a good general understanding there of what that is, where it comes from. Some of these people, they could just see you as like trying to challenge a narrative, whether it's their narrative or those beliefs and all that sort of stuff, okay? So it's like, because they see you as trying to challenge them, they're trying to cut you down in terms, and they kind of want to cause a tower moment for you. And that would be like that it's like that hard truth coming up against a person just not being able to help themselves, or anyway. Okay, so next up we have the 3 of Cups. So 3 of Cups can be like, good times or celebrating, or it can be like a good friends or a group or a community, something like that. Kind of supportive in nature, and I don't know, like almost like brotherhood, sisterhood energy, or like a closer knit community or something like that. Could be like good friends, could be like you and a couple of besties, whatever that looks like. Okay, just check that we're all on screen. That's good. All right. And so it was like, is it 3 people or a situation? What is the strength? Is it like a sign of? No. So I kind of get here that like some people just kind of want to be able to actively demonstrate their strength, and it's just kind of a part of like who they are. I don't know, like they could have that natural proclivity, these words, to step into like a leader-like position or something like that. So there could have been like a group or a community or something like that, and everyone was just having a good time, or it's supportive and nurturing in nature, and maybe like a closeness in relationships, really like just fulfilling good stuff. And for so sometimes when that happens, when people are fulfilled and kind of base needs are met and all of that, and then we have like this community that we belong to, and we feel safe and nurtured, and we feel free to express ourselves, and we kind of have a lot of shared joy in being able to do that, and we can like develop that like good sense of, it's like working up through the chakras, right, where you can develop that good sense of self-confidence, and just like loving yourself, and sharing and expressing that love, and having like a higher, truer love. No, that's maybe not the right word. Like a higher understanding of love and compassion for humanity as a whole in general. Just understanding that like humans are not perfect, and we, just the vastity in which we live our lives and come about things in a really honest way, even if they're not necessarily honest situations, and we can all learn from it. It's like kind of develops into that higher understanding, and having that like clear insight and discernment and direction and whatnot. And then it can kind of leave us like quite open to higher and other possibilities that can kind of transcend our world. And so when that happens, you can see people naturally step into their strengths and naturally step into like who they are as a person. They can let themselves shine because they haven't maybe had, whether they might not have anything to do with having had the space before. It's just like they're in that environment that is like fulfilling, and they're able to do that. So and then like, so you might have seen, whether it was you or someone else in this group, I kind of get the sense that this person may have seen you step into your strengths. So maybe when like you first met or got together or something like that, it was more like equal playing field, and then they've seen you in some way in their mind kind of, surpass them or something like that. Don't take that if that doesn't resonate, because I don't feel like that's for everybody. If it's not a case that they felt like you have surpassed them, they could have just seen you naturally display, like they could have seen the natural beauty in you that you are, and through like a quiet strength or something like that, or like your vulnerabilities that kind of come through. And there it starts off as like an admiration, and like to a deeper admiration. Okay. For some of these people, they could have felt like your strengths and your vulnerabilities, or this admiration that they had for you, it's like they put you on that pedestal or something like that, or other people did, whatever that was. Even if it was like, I can't tell if you stepped into a leader position here, or if they did, or they were like leaning towards that or something. It's like, that being the case, then I think they kind of, I don't know, some of them may have felt called out by you, by things that you have said when they've not had anything to do with this person. I feel like for most people in this collective, that's actually the case. They feel called out by something that you've said, and it may have just been a belief, and it may be totally not personal, and it may have just been like, for some of these people, I don't know if they even really understood the context in which you meant what you said. But yeah, and you may not have, like I said, you may not have even really said anything. It may just be how you like show up in the world, and that they've kind of misunderstood that, okay? And Pluto is exactly that, misunderstood. The things that we don't always understand, the things that operate below the surface. Sometimes it can be real insidious type things, and some of these people could be operating out of their Pluto. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Do you know what it does give me the feeling of, though? And again, they might, the zodiac signs themselves may not be relevant, but it's like the energy of the example that I give is like, if you have a Scorpio rising and another Scorpio rising, and they're both being a little bit like guarded and not really wanting to give too much away, but they're both lovely people, but they're both guarded. And then it's kind of like, they're both on the watch for each other's like moves and the things that they do, so that they can try to place some sort of judgment on it and know whether they can trust this person, let their defenses down, how they could operate around them, something like that. And it's like one person might step sideways to kind of move out of the way of something, and because of the way that they chose to navigate that situation, which might not have, it was like not hurting anybody else but not directly getting involved, but because they sidestepped something that they didn't want to be involved in or that had nothing to do with them, whatever that looks like, then it was like this other person is kind of, they've decided, something in their brain has said, they didn't face it, or I don't know, like they've kind of misunderstood the move that, or the way that person navigated it. Okay, so it's kind of like they don't agree with it, they think it was sneaky, they think there's something underhanded or whatever, but the truth is they just didn't understand the honesty of it, or like the, I don't know, like I don't know if that makes sense to you. I hope that that's not too hard to follow, and that it is just like, it's just people paying very close attention to things and not really understanding that another person can be innocent and have genuine intentions for like good for all, but just wanting to be like a little bit self-protective at the same time or something like that. And so just because you can be self-protective, it doesn't mean you throw other people under the bus or, you know, anything like that. It could just be that not my monkey, not my circus kind of energy. So I don't really know if that resonates for some of you, but I feel like we've talked about it enough. We've probably talked it to death. Hopefully that makes sense and the point got across for you in a way that is helpful. Okay, anyway, so yeah, we had our sort of original happy group situation, whatever that is. And, you know, some people were able to kind of like step into their strengths or naturally kind of evolve because they had those base needs met. And for others, they kind of like naturally kind of just lean towards sort of like more of a leadership type role or something like that. And then there's that whole sense of feeling like called out by something that had nothing to do. It was not personal, it had nothing to do with anyone. I don't think it was even a reaction or a reflection of anything that had happened. It was just like maybe a belief being expressed or something like that. And so they felt challenged by it and felt the need to call it out or display some sort of strength. And I think it left that person, whoever it was that felt the need to like call something out. Could have been, I don't know, look, to be fair, both people could have felt called out or like, I don't know, just, we don't want to read into it, we just get to the point. Could have left people in their head, could have left them ruminating about it, having lots of negative thoughts, kind of stressing about it, not really knowing how to navigate the situation at hand anyway. Like it could have put some people in a bit of a state of anxiety or fear or something like that. And I think that this other kind of opposing person who wants to step into some sort of leadership role or be admired or kind of cut you down because of what you represent, something, whatever that is for you, I think they see it as an opportunity because it's like this person is now shut down, withdrawn, they're no longer a challenge to me, and I'm just going to kind of assert myself or exert myself in some way. And having that, what is it, that appearance, that finish, what am I trying to say? Having that stance has kind of probably caused this collective to move away, to want to start again somewhere else. Now, for others of you, that person that did that sort of calling out and that kind of felt a bit threatened and kind of wanted to put you in your place, I think it did leave them into like a very, that whole anxiety, stressful, fear-induced space where they didn't know what to do and they were freaking out a bit about it. And then it was like they managed to muster up their strength and their power and their focus on attention and everything. And it comes up through that really competitive nature where they basically just want to dominate the situation. And I don't know, they could just because someone wants to dominate it doesn't mean that they don't know a way to do it gracefully. Okay, so they may not have really done anything like too crazy, but they're like asserting their position and they just want to make sure you and everyone else knows it and no one's going to step out of line. And then they've got their eye on you, and I don't know, it kind of brings me back to that start. It's kind of like come full circle. I don't know, for some of you, I feel like this person is doing that because they want you to leave. And for others of you, that's where that, you know, it joins back to wanting to like say something to you. What I see, it's like the opposing energies of like fire and water. So it's like, I feel like my collective is coming off as King of Cups, and I feel like this other person or situation, whatever that is, group, is coming off as the King of Wands. And it's like you're quite comfortable in your being, in your receptivity, and this other person is very focused on what you're doing. They're looking directly at you. Okay, so, all right, what else have we got here? That's it, okay. Do you want to take more cards? No. Okay. All right, I'm just going to pack these cards up. I'm going to do like a quick clearing before we decide whether we're going to wrap this up or just move on. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like we were doing, that message from Spirit, like a collective message from Spirit. And it's just the energy that wants to come through. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm kind of regurgitating these messages, but it comes up for a reason. And hopefully it's helpful to you all in some way. And if it's not, my reading just might not be for you. But also remember, it is a general reading when it's like a collective reading. And so it's kind of different to having a personal reading. It's a lot easier to tap on a person's specific circumstance when you're reading for one person as opposed to a group. So I would say that this seems to be like some sort of collective energy that's coming through at the moment. Maybe a great deal of you are dealing with scenarios like this that continue to play out in life. Okay, now that we've done that, I don't actually feel the need to pull any more cards, and there's no extra messages or anything like that. So thank you for joining us. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all in another reading. Thanks.